It seems like something Acme should make.
Yeah.
Acme liquid banana peel. Like, how has that not been in a cartoon? I'm Austin.
And I'm Cloud.
And this is We Watch Spookies.
Today's movie is Final Destination. Final Destination is a 2000 supernatural mystery film directed by James Wong, starring Devon Sawa, Ali Larter, Kerr Smith, and Tony Todd. I'm the plot synopsis.
Death is everyone's final destination. See what I did there? All right, so a class is going to go to France for a school vacation trip, whatever. And one kid ends up having a dream vision of the plane exploding, and so in a panic he tries to get off, which causes a commotion, which causes like 5 other people to get off, and then afterwards death comes for all of them in kooky, crazy ways.
I think if a bunch of people are like getting off on a plane, then it's going to cause a commotion.
Ha ha!
So this is something I didn't know until just now. That this was originally written as a spec script for an X-Files episode.
Really?
Which makes sort of sense, I guess. I'm not really sure. Like, there's no... I mean, it was rewritten and extended to make it into a movie, but I'm not sure how you would fit that into the format, because there kind of has to, if not be an answer, then at least something that you can do.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It seems like the story goes along just, well, I guess you have the FBI. So if you just take those characters and make them Mulder and Scully, then I guess that's how it works. But they're not important to the story, really.
Hi, where the police will be of no help.
No, we'll actually be of a hindrance.
Hey, we're the feds. We are of absolute no help.
Yes.
We're only trying to help you.
We are in the way. One of them is creeped out, at least, and they do let him go.
That kid really freaks me out.
They're really suspicious for a long time.
You know, like, okay, I have a problem with that scene. And it just
when they let him go?
Yeah, and it just may be because he, or how it was shot, something towards the creation line. But if he's already has an idea of what's going to happen, and it's just like, oh yeah, like I have to be there to stop it. Like, why not just tell him that you think so-and-so is going to be the next person? Because like, and just like explain that there's this line for the gas leak, and these were the people that were supposed to have died in this order, and you think that's going to be the order they're killed in. But he's like, no, like it's gonna happen if you leave me in here, and I'm the only one that can stop it. And they're just like, yeah, okay, here you go, bye. We don't have anything to hold you on, and we're not even gonna watch you afterwards because we think you're suspicious. Nope, just lets him go.
Well, I think the problem is if he says that, it sounds even more like he's the one doing it. Like he knows the order because he's the serial killer, which is what they think sort of might be happening.
Yeah, but see, at the same point, it's like,
even though they say we don't believe you blew up the plane.
Yeah.
But then after the fact, then he's
well, it's the idea that if he's killing the people off that were supposed to be on the plane, like the thing is like, and now this is only from the FBI perspective. If you think that he might be involved and he's saying these people will die in this order, I'm trying to stop it, and you just let him go off, one, you dumb, and two, for him, if he's like, well, they believe I'm involved in this, just take them along with you.
Yeah.
Like, what better proof than it's just like, here, if I'm with you and this person dies that I'm trying to save, then it's just like they didn't even go with him whenever he went back to the teacher's house.
I feel like that probably would have happened had this been an X-Files episode instead of a movie, because that kind of thing did happen commonly.
I'm like, that's something that makes sense even in like real police work.
By Scully, because she doesn't believe, but And Mulder might not want to believe might not believe all the time, but he wants to. So, he would at least go along with it and check it out. But no, they don't check anything out because they're the police in a movie and there'll be no help. Now the way this starts out, I think is really that the literal way it starts out with like the creepy credits with the fan, I think is kind of weird and is sort of hand tippy and the like be afraid before anything happens.
I think it's dumb and it was annoying because it's like a lot of kind of slow build up for nothing.
Yeah, because nothing's happened yet at that point.
Yeah.
Then everything is kind of normal. They're just going about their business, going to France, but he keeps kind of seeing weird things. Although he gives this look when his dad says whatever it is that he says. What does he say to him?
So he says some creepy shit like you have your whole life ahead of you.
Yeah, you have your whole life ahead of you. And he gives this look like to almost to the camera, which is basically to the dad because the dad is behind the direction he's looking. But then it's like, why would he look like that?
Yeah.
Because he doesn't know that
you might die
if you're a character in this movie. So he doesn't have any reason to be like, well, sure. Like, that's just a thing parents say, I guess, sometimes. At least parents on TV say.
Well, unless your child has cancer or something.
Well, I guess so. I mean, technically, you always have your whole life ahead of you. It's just of indeterminate length. So
I hate YOLO. It's so dumb.
Well, yes.
Yeah,
what does that have to do?
Because that's what I was thinking about. It's like, oh, you only live like no every day until you die.
Yeah.
Ugh. It's not like multi-res.
But then no. But then the build to the vision, which we don't know is the vision, which of course now we do because there's like 6 of these things, and other things do it commonly too. And I guess I don't think this invented that, but it was much less common before this, and it wasn't expected.
Yeah.
When this happened, so when it happens, it's
Well,
it's kind of fresh and interesting, which most of the stuff is in this, that it's kind of a different, it doesn't call itself, or at least nobody calls it a horror movie, although I guess IMDb calls it a horror thriller, not a, what did I say? A supernatural mystery.
Well, okay, so when the plane explodes, it happens like in the first, 15 minutes?
It does, because that's the part that's not important. I do like that, too, that it happens like out the window while they're fighting with each other.
No, not even that. I'm talking about like in the dream.
Well, yeah, in the dream.
Because it's like, they spend so much time showing us all the stuff that happens inside of the plane as it's going down. And as you're sitting there, you almost think, well, what's going to happen next? Since all the people that we have seen in any kind of focus is on this plane, and this plane is crashing, and you're like, oh, are some people going to survive? And then that's when it cuts on you, and it's like, they haven't even left yet. That was all a dream.
Yeah.
And so it starts to make you wonder, well, is the plane supposed to explode? What's going to happen? And then it's like, okay, well, we're going to get off. All right. Okay. So everybody's getting off. So I'm guessing the plane's going to explode. And then it does. And we actually get to witness it, even though it is from outside and we're inside with the people and all that.
But we've already seen it explode from the inside.
Exactly.
So we kind of get to have it both ways. And you get to kill all the characters right away in kind of a shocking way, and then take it back.
And then do it again.
And without it just being a like, oh, it was a dream, which happens usually at the end of things. So it's not that, because it is a dream, I guess, but it's for, like, it's story purposes motivated, even though it's not explained why he has the vision. It's important that he does, and it's not just to fake us out for cheating reasons. You know, something like how 47 Meters Down did it, where it just does it to, it's like, it's almost like
made you look.
And it doesn't, like, it's a cheat, and it doesn't feel good. It feels like the movie is saying, we got one over on you, and that's not, like, it puts you in kind of an adversarial relationship to the movie, which is not what you want.
Yeah.
And
well, see, even with this, it's
makes you hate everything after.
Yeah.
And this doesn't do that.
Like, whenever we witness the plane exploding from the inside, it's like, yeah, it's I won't say it's like deep or sad. It just kind of feels like a action disaster.
Yeah.
But it's not until we
No, it's
see
not
it.
sad because we
Yeah.
don't know any of these people. So
Well, it's not until we get to the outside when we're with the other people who are going to live through it,
Mhm.
and then we get to see like their reaction to it, and then it's like, oh, well, this is a bit more heavy-handed, and it's like they're trying to push the feels.
yeah.
And
And we have a
I know it
funeral
doesn't.
and everything.
Yeah, I know it doesn't work. It didn't work on me, but I'm not sure if that's what they were trying to really go for or what. Because like between everybody being upset and scared, and then like, oh yeah, now we're gonna put you in a room and people are gonna question you. It's like so much of a shift constantly. I'm not sure what they were trying to make you as the audience feel for it. So
Well, I think it's just supposed to be stressful in a way, which can either be everybody, like all these people we knew just died. Oh wait, they think we did it. We're being like locked in a room so we can be questioned by what at this point is just the FBI. Because the other thing that's interesting about this is this came out in 2000, so you could still blow up a plane in a movie and people didn't freak out. And they do interestingly ask him, are you in possession of any, like, was your luggage ever not in your possession, or questions that we kind of don't remember now that they did sort of ask before. But this is before 9/11, so it's not like, I'm going to blow up the plane, or the plane's going to blow up, then just like you disappear forever.
Yeah.
It's just like, we're going to put you in a room, we're going to find out what's going on, but we're not just gonna, like, you're not immediately shipped to Gitmo. Like, it's not, there's no Homeland Security yet. It's just police and FBI. And they let them go because they don't have any evidence of anything. Although the news is very quickly sure of the, like, it seems like it was accidental, which I don't know how anybody knows, because it takes like a year for an NTSB investigation, and it blew up over the ocean mostly, so they can't even
fish
find
parts out. Yeah,
because they have to find like as much of the wreckage as possible, and they lay it out on the floor in some big hangar somewhere and piece it, like basically rebuild it from the wreckage to figure out what happened. And they know what happened really fast because they need to for movie purposes.
Or the fact they would even explain like the oil line thing that was.
Yeah, they showed the diagram on TV.
Like on TV, like really?
I mean, I remember they did do that for like the Space Shuttle Columbia when they figured out what had happened with it. They did that, but that was like 3 years after it happened because it was this giant investigation. And like wreckage was scattered over like half of like 2 states because it blew up so high in the air. But they know, and they're sharing information really fast. I don't know how he got it onto his computer though, because he's like tracing it off of his computer screen in what looks like Paint or something, which I don't know how he had. Like, this is 2000. Like, I guess there's video on the internet, but barely.
Yeah, I just like. Maybe the air flight or the news had it as like a GIF or something.
Maybe.
JPEG.
Yeah, well, it doesn't move, so, and there's no, I mean, I guess it does move on TV, but it doesn't move when he's just drawing it. He doesn't seem to be able to like layer it on his computer though with his map of the seating, because he has to trace it off the computer. I was a little worried for a moment that we were going to have to listen to his entire funeral speech.
Oh god!
Because they make a point of, like, I wrote the speech and like I talked to the teacher about it and they said it was a good idea, and then we get like 3 sentences of it,
it
and there's big
how
sweeping shots of the crowd sitting there, and I thought, oh, is he gonna like give a whole speech? And then they just use it to get into his next scene. And he reads the last little bit of it that we hear, which doesn't seem like anywhere near the end, as we see him going into his bathroom to die.
Yeah.
Which he's shaving dry. Like he takes the razor and goes and like almost looks like he deliberately cuts himself because what are you doing?
Don't be stupid, stupid.
I mean, maybe he doesn't know how to shave, but he's like 16 or 17 or something. So
that's not
he ought to know.
That don't make no sense. Like
now.
He's got a dad. It's a nice suburban area.
He does have a dad.
You gonna tell me his dad didn't teach him how to shave? You gonna tell me that? I'm upset because my other son's dead and all this other stuff, and I don't already like your friend. Like you've already taught these kids how to shave.
I mean,
if you didn't, okay. If you have children and teach them how to shave with an actual razor, you know, get some of that foamy nice stuff. You put it on the face. You take the razor, you shave it off. You know. Not using the electric razor like my grandfather did. I just see him.
That's not teaching you to shave. That's not shaving.
He just sits like on his recliner and he just has like the all over his face, and I'm like, oh my god. Well, I'll give you the credit. You're old, so it's probably not as easy anymore. So I'm not going to shame you, but teach your kids how to shave.
I do
please.
appreciate his dad for using like an old style double-edged razor though, instead of having it be brought to in part by Gillette or something kind of moment.
Yeah.
Which there really isn't anything. There's almost no, if there are, I guess there must be something, but there are really minimal brand, like visible brands. There's very little product placement, which I guess is because it's a small like movie that nobody knew was going to do anything yet. Which it didn't do like giant. It made like 112 million on 23 million, but which is, you know, decent. You made like 4 times what you spent, but it's not like now having it been this whole series, it seems like, oh, the Final Destination movies are like big movies, but they're actually just sort of like medium-sized movies that are just well known because they're distinctive, or they were distinctive. And this does, I think, start to lean us into what we eventually would get with the Saw and Hostel movies, because they're a little bit later than this.
Yeah.
So, but this is the like long sequences of devices will cause harm and death to people in an earlier, nowhere near as gratuitously violent way, but still a more
people will die,
more violent. Yeah, people will die, and it's more in more violent and graphic ways than we've commonly gotten in movies. Very much. I mean, this is we're not going in like straight chronological order. We're bouncing around a little bit, but just like compared to what are remembered as super violent movies that we've done already, like Halloween and Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Not that violent.
That violent, actually. And actually, I mean, there's only what, like 4 deaths in this or something.
Yeah.
And they're only
5. There's
5 deaths.
There's 5 deaths, but we only witnessed 4. Because the 5th one is the dude being killed by the sign.
Oh yeah, which we don't really
credits.
see. Yeah, it kind of falls into the black screen. Death by a big sign.
Yes, that's actually what I wrote.
It's
well, it's like okay, so the construction of each death scene is handled miraculously. Like the it's, and when I mean the construction, whenever you are introduced to the scene and what the camera is going to focus on, what it's going to show you, anything like that, what a character might interact with, every shot kind of alludes to this may be what is used to kill this person.
But it might not be. Or it might be that, but like in combination with something else that you don't expect yet.
Yeah.
And so there's like a suspense and building. And so
our first one is the friend who supposedly committed suicide, but he was strangled to death by a clothesline cord in a bathtub.
Yeah, which that one I don't like as much as the others because it seems much more artificially supernatural. Like it seems really difficult for that to actually happen. And the rest of them, like this falls onto this and the knives, and seem like something that could happen just almost accidentally, even though it would be super unlikely. And things like the sign and getting hit by a bus are much more naturalistic. And then just the clothesline wrapping around his neck while the soap squirts out, so he just slips on the bathtub, and actually even the water moving towards him and moving away, and like the water is alive, like it's being puppeted by death directly in a way that mostly the stuff isn't.
Well, I think that's my only real problem with that scene is like, it doesn't matter if it's like a suicide or a murder or whatever. Like, death is death. And so, like, why did he pull the water? I say
dead.
Yeah, like, why did he pull the water back into the toilet? Like, he could have just left it there. The job's done. It's not like someone's gonna like arrest death and prosecute him.
Yeah, and that's the only time that it matters.
Yeah, and it's like, but why?
Kept to look like something else. I don't know. I guess because it's part of the design.
And
so
I want to know what that clothesline was
guilty.
attached to. Jesus Christ, that thing did not come off.
Yeah, well, I think one end is maybe wrapped around the shower head, and then the other end is like suction cupped or something, and that's the end that came off. It's hard to see.
The hell would you? Okay. So I don't like hanging things up in the bathroom to just like, oh, it's like here's some dirty clothes. I'm just like your swimming trunks or your swimsuit or whatever. Like, I don't like that. Like, just hanging it up in the bathroom. Like, no, because one, your bathroom doesn't have a lot of air flowing through it.
No, but it has a thing designed to catch water you can hang stuff over, which is why people do it.
Well, you can either hang that shit outside, or you can wring it to get all the extra moisture out. And then you can like put it somewhere where there will be air circulating, or like a fan or something. Because obviously, if you want it dry, go out of your way to dry it.
Mm-hmm.
You lazy.
It looks like
piece of garbage. Just get it dried. Lord, like that. Like, that's what annoys me about this. It's like I see the bathroom. One, your bathroom looks like garbage. You got stuff all over the place. It's nasty. Your kid don't even know how to use the shaving foams. He cuts himself like
or even
twice.
Water.
Like twice.
He use water.
Oh my God. This kid is just, I'm glad he's dead.
I mean, I don't even know what he's doing, because it seems like it's the middle of the night, and the first thing he does is like use the actual toilet.
Yeah.
And then he's just playing around. Like, I'm going to not actually shave because I don't know how. And then I'm going to like go fiddle around over by the shower. But he's already wearing pajamas. So it doesn't seem like he's about to take a shower.
Yeah, was he like, what was he doing? And then
I don't even know what he's doing over at the bathtub.
You just see him taking the clothes down off of the hanger. Like, why?
I don't know,
like,
because we have to keep him in the bathroom.
Like, everything about that scene is just, yeah.
And then it's not, like, that's not water, because it's like magic, like, oil, because it just, like, it
so
touches his heel, and he just goes, whoop, like a cartoon, and just goes like full up in the air and lands on his back in the bathtub.
This is some Tom and Jerry shit.
It is. It's like it's a banana peel, but it just like, instead of you having to step on it, it like somebody reached over, lifted up your leg, slid the banana peel under, and then let go so that you landed on it.
Yeah.
Like, that's what happens. The water just goes touch, and then he just slips and flies in the air. And so it's much more artificial, and I don't care for it as much. I really like the teacher one.
Yeah.
Because there are so many misdirects in it, because you think, oh, it's on the stove. Like, anything could happen with the stove. She goes to light the stove, and you're like, it's going to blow up in her face, and then it doesn't. And
like, I just want to know, like, okay, all right, so.
And she throws the towel on the knives, and you're like, that, I don't know how this is going to work, but that's probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
So you don't want to cover up the knives.
Like, her glass that she's just, okay, she pulled vodka out of the freezer. Please don't store your vodka in the freezer, please. And then she pours it into a mug, and I guess that mug is just shit.
Well, no, the mug
cracks.
was hot, because she put the tea in the mug and then saw that it had the school logo on it and was like scared and threw it out. And then it was presumably still hot from the boiling tea, and she poured it in, so it's temperature shock, thermal shock.
But it's a huge ass crack.
And and it's just dripping as she walks about the house.
Well, it's not like, how drunk is she already?
Not yet. She's taken like 2 sips.
No, what I'm saying is, like, she wasn't even sipping before it cracked. It just cracked, and then she starts drinking. Yeah. And then it's like, okay. So you're obviously not paying attention to the fact that this is loud and it's big and it's very obvious, and your vodka is pouring all over the place. Now, how much vodka was actually pouring out? Because whenever we get it like caught on fire, it just looks like someone just took a bottle of like lighter fluid and then just squirted a huge trail.
Oh yeah,
Like-
it's like I can't think of a movie that actually does it. True Lies does it. Don't they? Where there's like the trail of gas and he throws the cigarette into it and it goes and blows the thing up.
Yeah.
Which you can't really do, but it's like that. It's like when that happens in an action movie where the guy just flicks the cigarette or the cigar or something and it just trails along forever like it's gunpowder in a cartoon.
And it's like that was. I think that was the only part that I'm like, this is a bit excessive.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, the little bits of vodka are gonna drop down onto the computer and it's gonna cause the computer to like.
Yeah, well, and I know vodka will burn. Because I've used like various like ordinary proof liquors, vodka and cheap whiskey and stuff when I'm like doing charcoal grilling and wood grilling and smoking and stuff. Because if you need to like stoke the fire back up, you don't want to use lighter fluid because you're going to taste it in the food. But if you just pour a little vodka or whiskey or something, actually, if you use whiskey, then it imparts flavor as well. But it just, it flares up and gets the fire going again the way lighter fluid would, but you don't mind the taste. So I know it'll burn, even if it's as low as like 40% or something, regular 80 proof stuff. I guess since it's still like 60% water, that it would cause electronics to short out. I don't know. Probably not as much as actual water, and it's not very much.
No.
She just kind of drips it down. And it's like a CRT monitor, and there's not actually that much mechanism in there. Like the vents on the top there, really all it would do would just drip down on top of the picture tube, which is sealed until you get to the back where the electrical contacts are. And so it doesn't even really make any sense that it would do like just spark like that.
Yeah. But see, like, your standard person ain't gonna know that. And so it's like, oh, liquids, electronics.
Well, but the detail is everything.
Breaks
here,
things up.
Yeah,
I'm like,
and it probably would. I don't know. It probably would.
I'm like, I would accept that more than
I would accept
magic
more
water.
that the vodka would. That it would cause the electronics to spark. Than that she wouldn't notice that she's dripping like
huge
a gallon
amount,
of vodka.
Yes.
Because as much as is on the ground, I don't even think she would have any left by the time she got over to the computer. Because it's not that big a mug. It's just a regular, like, ordinary size mug.
And see, I would be more understanding if she like went to take a sip and then realized it was empty.
Yeah.
Like she was walking over and then she goes to sip and she looks down and it's like, oh, I spilt it all over the place because my mug is cracked and I wasn't paying any attention because I'm distressed. But, like, there's just, like, a little bit left attached to it. And so when she's, like, screwing with her computer stuff, like, that little bit is what
there's
sparks
just, like,
it.
one drip or something.
Yeah. So, like, there's acknowledgement that the vodka had poured out kind of thing.
She's also, like, not at all concerned about the tea that is now all over the room.
Yeah.
Because she's just like, and she just throws the tea everywhere and then just goes straight for the vodka and just doesn't clean it up, doesn't even care. I guess she's moving out of the house. But because she just can't deal with being here, even though it didn't happen there. She's like, I can't teach at this school where there's this big eagle statue outside of all the kids that were killed and the French teacher guy. Which I was so worried that it was going to be like people under the sheet.
Yeah.
Because you can't tell what shape it is. And it's just going to be like a group of people statue, and it's not. I don't know what the eagle is supposed to mean.
Omelette du fromage.
And it kind of seems almost like a bad, like insensitive kind of thing, because it like it brings to mind flying, which seems like that could be depressing for people. But then it isn't actually like the explosion or fire or anything that at least starts to kill her. It's just a big piece of glass in the throat.
Yeah, okay, so like I can understand that the screen of these monitors are like thick and heavy, but like the fact that she didn't die like right away.
She doesn't die right away. Yeah.
I'm like, okay, well,
because we have to have 3 more Rube Goldberg steps.
Yeah,
before
like
that.
I'm like really kind of squinting at it because like every other movie, you get cut in the throat and you die like almost instantly. But okay. Like we ain't here to judge the physics of that kind of shit, but it does lead up to
Well, we don't. Well, that's what we get later with the train, where just the metal just goes whoosh and his head comes off.
Yes. But it's like she goes back into the kitchen to grab like a paper towel and stuff. The paper towel, rag, whatever. Ends up slipping, falling. She's trying to stop the bleeding. She's reaching up because that's where the towel's at. And then she pulls down like the block of knives.
Yeah.
And one just like impales her.
Yeah. The big like chef knife.
Yeah. And you're thinking, oh shit. Like
it's not as big as the knife from Halloween. But
it's like, oh, she is done for it. And then like the guy
but
shows
she's
up.
not though. Still,
yeah,
she's just still just laying there. I'm not dead yet.
Still alive. And the guy. Okay, so I don't know why so much because like she talks about that he freaks her out. She doesn't like being around him. Like she's made it clear.
Yeah,
we know that she doesn't like him because she's scared of him.
Because she blames him, kind of, or she's suspicious of how he knows, or something.
I mean, like her actions, I feel are so unreasonable at this moment that I can understand being sad or upset, but then being like, no, this guy, he must be the witch, pariah, exile, and it's just like,
yeah,
like what? No, that's I think that's a bit too far for this kind of behavior for the situation.
Doesn't one of the friends say something like that, and somebody else says he's not a witch?
Yeah. And then it's like, so he shows up and he's gonna help her, and you think like, oh, maybe he will help her, and this is supposed to be like trying to break the cycle, or maybe she'll die in his arms, and then he's trying, pulls the knife, and it's like, nope,
slam,
and like the chair just drops on her and pushes it all the way, and she's just dead.
Yeah. Because I guess it was just like sticking in a little, and then it was like all the way in.
And like the house is like partially on fire because like the vodka was on fire, and the kitchen
and the stove is still on, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, because that
doesn't make any. I guess it blows out again or something, doesn't it?
Yeah, because that was the cause for like the bigger explosion at the end whenever he's outside the house.
I mean, we're at least spared a slow motion run away from the explosion while flying through the air. He does fly through the air a little bit, but it's fairly minor and realistic.
He's not a cool guy.
Well, no, I mean, he doesn't look anyway, but he doesn't.
That's why you don't get the slow-mo.
Now, I do want to talk about that, even though that's not the way I planned to lead into it, but it's fine. There's two versions of the poster art for this. There's the one that ended up being used late in all of the later posters and on the DVD covers and stuff. But the first one is the same art, but instead of being like this, where you see all of their faces and everything, and then there's like a death skull in the sky, the first one was this, actually, instead of having death in the sky at all, there's just lightning. And it's the same grouping of their faces, but half of the face has this really dumb like skull overlay on it.
Yeah.
It's like really low res and really silly looking.
It don't look so good.
And so I don't like that. But I've also always had a problem with Devon Sawa's face. Like, he's the one in the middle. He's the main character guy.
He kind of looks a little droopy.
Well, he looks like his mouth is kind of open, and it's the only one that is, and he's doing this like weird look with his eyes. And it looks like he's, and especially because it's from this time, like he ought to be on a like you wouldn't download meth kind of commercial. It's like some combination of those, like, don't pirate stuff, also don't do drugs, because he's just making this like kind of face, and I don't know why. And it doesn't help us, like his shirt collar is kind of like leaning towards one shoulder more than the other, and so it's almost like his clothes are sliding off in the opposite way that his neck is moving, and his mouth is like moving the other way, and he's just like, oh. It looks like he's on drugs.
Yeah.
And it's always bothered me. Like, that's the picture? Like, you couldn't get a better picture of him than that for the cover of the movie? Because everybody else looks fine. Everybody else is normal.
We're trying to be artistic.
He doesn't even get a credit like on the poster at all, but you could even see Sean William Scott way in the back there.
Yeah.
And he's just like normal and facing forward.
And he doesn't look as silly as he is in the movie.
No. Which is minorly silly by Sean William Scott standards anyway.
You know, and that's okay.
Much less silly than ordinarily.
See, that's the interesting thing is because like I'm used to like Sean William Scott silly, but this isn't like Sean William Scott silly. This is like I'm still young Sean William Scott, and I'm trying to play someone who's just oblivious and naive,
Yeah.
And so like this is the character, and I'm just like,
I mean, they're
alright,
doing the
that's-
kind of thing they do with him normally, because he's doing the, like, he just got his driver's license and he scored the lowest possible score you could get and still not fail. And the instructor was like, you're going to die young because you are terrible at driving, except he doesn't say the second half of that. Yeah. And so he doesn't really know how to take it. But it's, I mean, he's still like, what year was Evolution? It was around this time, was it? It's early 2000s. It's after this, I think.
Yeah.
But
well, I think the difference is in this movie, he's not funny to be funny. It's
no,
just
he's
like,
not stupid. He just has kind of a goofy character.
Yeah, but like in all the other ones, he's supposed to be a funny character.
Yeah, and so
And
it
I
comes
think-
off as trying too hard.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
I think that's the thing. And like this one, it's just his character's dumb.
2001 is Evolution, so it's the next year. So by that point, they had found the like so stupid Sean William Scott that you can't believe this person actually exists and hasn't gotten themselves killed already yet. So
One of my favorite Sean William Scott things is from Cop Out.
which I haven't seen, unsurprisingly.
You listen here now. He only plays a secondary character.
It's not
But
because he's in it.
oh, that's right, because Kevin Smith.
No, it's not Kevin Smith.
I thought Kevin
Or is
Smith
it?
directed that movie.
Did he?
I could swear by.
Maybe he did. Hang on.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, he did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
wasn't it like
that's right,
Tracy
yeah.
Morgan?
It's
and
more.
Bruce?
It's more Tracy Morgan, I think.
Yeah, I
Is
like
that-
Tracy Morgan.
Eh.
Yeah,
But also, I'm not going to run out and watch a Kevin Smith movie
I'm
necessarily.
saying, like I like Bruce Willis though.
The poster. The poster's fine, I guess. It just has Bruce Willis looking Bruce Willis-y and Tracy Morgan looking like ridiculously stupid, as he commonly does, because that's his character. But the trailer was like, I have like zero interest in this, to the great surprise of no one, because it's not. They don't make movies like that for me. They're for other people. So
Yeah.
And it's
I
fine if other
understand.
people like them. Although it cost $30 million to make it, only made 55, so not that many people, I guess. Not written by Kevin Smith, though.
Huh, weird.
Which I think is
Odd.
the only one,
Probably.
isn't it?
I think so.
Because he's one of those writer-director types, so.
But at the same time, that Sean William Scott gets decapitated. and you're kind of wondering, like, okay, so the whole build up for the scene is we got douche boy.
Oh, he gets decapitated in this.
Yeah, like
Okay, I thought he got decapitated in Cop Out, and that was the
No.
moment you liked. And I was like, oh, 2 movies he gets decapitated
No.
in.
No, he actually doesn't.
Okay, we're like, it's not the subject of the show, so no spoilers for Cop Out, I guess.
Well, I was gonna say he doesn't die, but he does. But it's ridiculous, so it's still funny. All right, okay. So
Kind of ridiculous.
okay, so you have douche boyfriend whose girl is dead, and they're all in his car, and they're driving really, really fast because he wants to know the order, and main character dude won't tell him, and he's like, "Well, okay then,
I'll just kill
you know,
everyone.
it's like just taking my life into my own hands." And so he's just like excessive speed, excessive reckless driving, all of this kind of shit. They get to these train tracks, and then he just stops, and then like here's the train, and everybody jumps out, and they're freaking out, and he's just kind of sitting there, and then it's just like, okay, I'll get out. But then when he tries to get out, like death's already kind of trapped him,
Yeah.
and so like the guy's like, I had a vision of the seat belt, and manages to get him out, and the car just gets destroyed.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, okay, well, what if he was supposed to be the next one, and that's why he wouldn't tell him, and he's still going to die here because obviously death intervened to do something to get him kept in the car. And then it keeps cutting back to this little sheet of metal just vibrating underneath the train. And then like Sean Williams, he just steps up and he just is like, man, this is not cool, man. This is not right. My life ahead of me. And they're just like,
Yeah. And I
His
guess, like I
head
said,
just,
his
like-
head comes off. It actually kind of like doesn't, because I think it's like just below the mouth, but above the chin is where the cut is, and so it's like most of his head comes off, but
Well,
it's not
it-
like at the neck, like normal.
yeah, like
decapitation.
it looks like it just went like his mouth is open, so it went through his mouth.
Yeah, maybe.
So it's like all that's left is his lower jaw and neck. Like
But
that's what
they
that's
show
what
it from
looks
kind of far away, so it's
Yeah.
not. it's not super graphic.
And then he takes like 3 steps and then just collapses.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, oh, okay.
Yeah. Which they're actually, I feel like in this one, more of the people die with other people watching
Yeah.
than in the later ones. Because there's, well, I guess.
Yeah, I can kind of see where you're coming from with that, because I think some of the better deaths stand out because they were by themselves, or the ones that stand out better were the ones where they were by themselves.
Well, except for the first one.
Yeah.
Which also, can we classify that one as
death by water?
Even though it's not 100%?
No, that's death by strangulation.
Yeah. Well, but the magic, like, greasy water. Banana peel in liquid form. It seems like something Acme should make.
Yeah.
Acme liquid banana peel. Like, how has that not been in a cartoon? Now, maybe it has. I don't know. I haven't seen every cartoon ever, so that seems like, maybe it could even be in, like, spray cans or something. You just, like, spray it, and it makes, like, a banana peel kind of texture where it's yellow and has kind of the spots on it, but it's flat on whatever surface it is.
Banana scent. All right. So that's covered all of the deaths. We even talked about the guy getting hit by the big ass sign. Our main character finally dies.
Well, yeah. I mean, we barely mentioned the bus, but we mentioned it.
Well, that's the thing is, like, the chick gets hit by the bus because she runs out on the road because she's not paying attention. There you go. That's the end.
Yeah. Not paying attention.
Now, my note for the teacher dying was everything but the kitchen sink.
I mean, basically.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a lot of stuff involved.
How do we feel about creepy black guy at morgue?
Well, I feel differently about it now because the third one exists, or is it the second? Which one is it? I think it is the third one, isn't it? Where they go back to visit him.
Yeah, I think it's the third one because I think that's whenever it's supposed to be friend of the chick who dies, because she's in the second one.
Because
no, wait, I think she's in the third one too, because I think that's whenever she's in the.
Well, Ollie Larder is in the second one, I think, because she's in the padded room.
Yeah, like, did they go get her out of the padded room?
And she's gonna help him. But then I think more guy is in 3.
This statue is how I feel about you.
But it
confused.
But it is odd because
excited.
Now I do like Springhead guy.
It's gonna fall on the turpentine and it's gonna catch on fire.
Yeah, but I do like Springhead guy, and I like his like impromptu naming of it.
Yeah, it
kind of looks like almost like it could be a logo for a board game or a game. It, like, what is it? I think it does actually. There's like isn't there like something called Brain Teasers or something like that? Brain Games. That's what it is. It looks a lot like the Brain Games logo, because there's like this head and you can kind of see the brain inside, and it just has this like vague kind of nose shape to it. It looks a lot like that. It's a really elaborate sculpture, though. I think it's the most elaborate of the one there, because there's a bunch of pieces and it's also mounted to the spring. And it has the most story. I kind of feel like, is she the young version of the woman at the end of Castaway? Because she seems to live alone, because what she did when the like mom didn't want her anymore after the new husband happened.
I just want to know where she's living.
I don't know. She's living in a house with like welding equipment and stuff. I don't know. We never see her parents.
So the only stuff we get is she's like, yeah, my dad was shot in the head because he wanted cigarettes, and some guy was like, don't turn around, but he turned around anyways because he couldn't recognize the voice of someone he didn't know, because he thought it was a friend. And so my dad died, and then my mom got remarried to some scum, and the scum didn't want a kid, so she didn't want a kid. So I don't live at home.
Except she doesn't say that.
But she doesn't live in her dad's cabin either, because that's where the dude is hiding out.
Yeah, and there's also no, like, and I was only 16, but I'm emancipated. So, like, there's no explanation as to how she lives on her own, if she does, or even that she does.
Yeah.
We just never see any evidence of other people living in the house.
What? What is this?
Even after it explodes.
Yeah.
So...
explodes-ish, because
it's
like
only
the car is what explodes,
yeah.
and the most ridiculous, like, that cable's alive.
Yeah,
alive, and just all over the place.
I guess that is the other equivalent to the magic banana peel water, where it really is sort of being controlled in an unnatural way. Although, the behavior of electrical wiring in movies is often really bogus.
Yeah.
Like, we complained extensively about the wire in Daylight.
Oh,
It's just like, what is it doing? Like, there's no reason it should bounce around this way. Stop it. It should just hang there and spark. Like, it doesn't have any momentum or force or anything. It's electricity. Like, if you touch electricity, it'll throw you back, depending on what kind it is and if it's high enough power. But it's only because you don't, because you're trying to make a contact and it doesn't flow through you that well, and so you have too much resistance, and so it's like trying to put more current into you than it can. But just an open-ended wire doesn't have, like, I guess in a way it has infinite resistance because it's a high impedance air gap, but it's not like water. Like, you can use water, like, metaphors to explain how electrical resistance and current and flow and stuff works, but it doesn't literally work like that. So like, electricity is kind of present and it's drawn from wires by things that need to use it. It's not forced into things, because if it was, like, you would connect something to the wall and it would just blow out because it's getting all of the electricity, and that's not what happens. Except, I guess, if you're her computer monitor, because it's like,
talk everything.
boom. I'm
trying to remember, because there was a thing that happened and I didn't make a note for it. I guess maybe because it changed during the scene. But the guy, like, she's in the car and the electricity's over the place and she wants to get out, and he's like, "Don't, you're grounded."
By the tires,
by the
which is
tires.
actually bogus.
And then he was going to do something, and I'm like, well, if you're going to say she's grounded by the tires, shouldn't you just be able to climb onto the vehicle? And since you're no longer on the ground, you're on the vehicle, wouldn't you be just as grounded by the same rule?
Well, by the same rule, yeah, but also not, because it's not a real rule.
Yes, yeah.
It has nothing to do with the tires.
Yeah.
Like, if lightning strikes your car when you're in it, it has nothing to do with the tires, as long as you didn't touch the outside, is that you're not literally touching anything metal that it actually connects to. And it's going to arc from the body of the car to the ground to ground itself out. You're not grounded by the tires. You would be insulated by the tires, which you wouldn't want, because that would keep the electricity in the frame of the car. That's not how ground, like, in order to ground, you have to connect to something that deadens the electricity.
Yep.
And the tires aren't going to do that because it doesn't have anywhere to go. And so you want it to go into something else and dissipate. Like, grounding occurs in the ground. Like, when you connect the ground wire in something in, like, the wall in your house, that wire goes to the electrical panel where there's a rod that's driven into the literal ground that the current goes into and grounds in the ground. That's why it's called the ground, because it's connected to the ground.
Now you know.
Now you know. So I don't have the, like, CBS sound.
Yeah,
I should get that, I guess.
That'd be a good idea.
Yeah.
I want to know what it's called. If you don't think there's all those weird terms for, like, people who like or dislike things, and I'm like, I wonder if there's a term for people who like watching lightning, specifically strike lightning rods.
There must be.
Yeah.
There's probably a society for it, but I've never heard of it offhand. Let's try this search term. People who like watching lightning strike lightning rod, or just watch lightning strike, I guess. People who like.
Yeah, but that seems too general.
Okay, there's an article on The Verge. Teen survives lightning strike waiting for powers to kick in. ABC News, 1 day ago. Okay, what is this?
God, get off of that.
A 13-year-old Arizona boy who miraculously survived being struck by lightning says he's now waiting for his powers to kick in. He was walking home through a park in Phoenix with a friend when he said a jolt of lightning launched him in the air.
That's a terrible series. Why would I want to watch that?
Welcome back to things that should never happen to you in your life. Superman doesn't have electrical powers.
No. The series should be things that should have killed you.
Yeah. Things that should have killed you.
I would have watched that.
Well, I mean, we have the like things that like did supposedly kill you. The like the 1,000 Ways to Die kind of shows.
I need to watch the ABCs of Death.
It's
There's like some crazy ways to die in that.
Yeah, but how many? New York Times. Lightning struck her home. Then her brain implant stopped working.
I never asked for this. Kind of fucking brain implant.
I don't know. Brain implant. Deep brain stimulation implant. Oh, it's for epilepsy.
Oh,
Okay.
that sucks.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear about
I'm
that.
not going to read the rest of that. It was in May of, I think, this year. Yeah, May this year. Okay. And this concludes I Read the Internet.
Yeah.
For the moment. Now, I say one day ago. This is going to be like 3 months ago when you hear this, but I think it was worth it for
just that audio.
things that should never happen to you. A new series. Sharks in Cape Cod, man.
They'll just let anybody into Cape Cod nowadays.
So how do we feel about stars?
Ooh, I'm debating whether I want to give this a 3 or a 4.
I'm going to give it a 4.
I'm gonna give it a 4 just to piss you off.
I don't care that much. I mostly care when you say it first, because then it seems like I'm copying you.
All right, fine. We'll start with you from now on, because I know I ain't changing it for just because.
Well, no, I'm not going to either, but I just don't want it to sound like that.
But I'm not gonna feel bad. I'm doing this for you.
Uh-huh. So, what about scariness?
I give it a 2.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it's more suspenseful than
Yeah.
scary, but
I mean, because it's like it's really low, but at the same time, it's got a lot of stuff where I'm like, in other circumstances, this would be really scary. So it's like a little combination between it's not scary for me to watch, but in realization, it would be scary.
so it's like Ghosts was.
Yeah.
It's like if you were one of the townsfolk, like this would be the scariest thing that ever happened. But
What
watching
is
it
this?
happen is not as scary.
Oh, is this gonna go up after Ghost?
Probably. Well, I'm not.
Because you know one thing we forgot to talk about on Ghost,
Yeah.
the kid at the very end. Is this scary?
Oh yeah.
And
And then he does the stretch. Yeah.
And like he does something like out of the like right before the credits, it's just like cut.
Yeah.
Like I want to know what the kid did.
Well, no, I think what I'm gonna. I'll explain this now. Whatever this is, like 7 episodes in or something. But these are coming out every day, so you didn't wait a super long time. Probably what is going to happen, unless this changes before now and when we finish these, is that I think they're going to have to go up in the order that we did them, because we do occasionally mention something from a previous one, and also it's a building experience for us.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to sort of structure it in such a way where we sort of go back and forth through time, but also have things which are important to influence other things before the things that they influenced. And so I think it'll work fine anyway.
Well, I guess
And
it
it's
just,
better than trying to figure out an order after the fact.
Yeah, it's just I'm leaving it to you to pick the order we watch in, because obviously that's going to be the order we record in as well.
Yeah.
And so as long as you know how you want this to pan out, I'm fine with it.
I only sort of know, but it's fine. I mean, I know that we do bank episodes and sometimes things post out of order, and so every now and then we've been referring to things we said in the Fast and Furious episode for a year, and it still hasn't come out, although hopefully it has by now. It will have by now. I will get it out. It will have been put up by October, but this is August when we're recording this particular episode, and so if you just listen to whatever episode came out last week in August, what was that? What did we just do? Mission Impossible?
Yeah, Fallout.
Yeah. So
not the video game.
no, if you just listen to the Fallout episode in August, then we talk about it in that extensively. And so it didn't come out before that, but it has come out by now, hopefully. Unless it hasn't, then you can yell at me in email.
You know, I'm surprised no one has taken. I say this without having looked for it. But it's like I'm surprised no one has taken like the theme for Mission Impossible and then took like snippets of Tom Cruise talking where he says war never changes.
I mean, I guess. Sure. Now, the other thing is that I think it's from the, which one is the one with the tanning beds? Is that 3?
I think so, yeah.
It might be 2. I know it's either 2 or 3. It's not 4. That on the commentary for that one, the director talks about because of the way these things, like the things you have to have in these, shooting these is like a mix of big exciting stuff happening that you get to shoot and complicated mechanisms and, you know, explosions and stuff, and really tedious shots of watching water drip down something or watching a deadbolt turn, and so there's all of this, like, you have to shoot all of this stuff, but it's just this like super tedious stuff like half the time that the movie is constructed from, which you don't have in a normal movie. Yeah. It's only in these that you really have this kind of stuff where you just see like mechanisms of things work in close up for long periods of time. There's not quite as much of that in this one as there is in the later ones, because they're forced as they go on to kick things up every time they do one, or at least try to. And I will say, like, as good as the plane crash is at the beginning, they do really escalate it in the second one, and that car wreck, that's the main death of everyone
the
in
logs,
the beginning.
Yeah.
Well, the log, yeah, but just everything. That is like one, like maybe the best car wreck sequence in any movie.
Yeah,
it's the best one I know of. It's basically a Burnout moment, like the video game series Burnout in a movie. Like, there's so many pieces to it, and it's so long. It's way longer than the airplane is. The airplane sequence takes a long period of time, but there's all the build stuff to it before, where he opens
like
the tray, it doesn't work, he's getting straight.
Yeah.
Once the plane is crashing, is not actually that long.
It's like less than a minute.
And the car wreck is like 10 minutes long, and there's all these pieces of it.
But I'll tell you one thing: any and everyone who's ever watched that has stuck with them. And every time they're behind like an 18-wheeler hauling logs, they're like, "I've seen Final Destination 2. You ain't tricking me."
Yeah, I want to like put in a little bit of convoy or something here. Like, oh, I want to back off about 5 miles or so. Like, I don't want to be too close to the log truck just in case. Because
Rubber duck,
You might die.
Rubber duck. This is Final Destination 2.
Nope. Get out.
how's that for your suicide jockey? I didn't expect that much reaction.
Oh God.
Yeah, he's holding dynamite. And that's all we have to say about Final Destination. Not the Final Destination, because confusingly that's 4, but Final Destination. Or no, 4 or 5? 5. 5? 4? I don't even know. No, 5 is Final Destination 5. Yeah, so it's 4. We'll see you next time.
Later.